Good evening, everyone, or should I say, buonasera a tutti. Welcome to this very special show in which we will be bringing you the world premiere of a brand new film featuring one of the largest demolition excavators the world has ever seen. That machine is based on a Caterpillar 6015B mining excavator that has been modified by Laurini to the specifications of the owner and one of the world's finest exponents of the demolition arts, Despe. Myself and my son Fred were fortunate to be the only trained journalist invited to Italy to see the machine on its maiden project. And the film of that project is the main part of tonight's exclusive show. But there's more to tonight than just that. As you can see, I'm wearing a very fine Despe polo shirt, and we have two of those up for grabs. One is a large, that will be our main prize. The other is a medium, and that will be our second prize. For your chance to win one of those t-shirts, please type the word Despe into the chat. You can see how it's spelled, D-E-S-P-E. I will run a ticker across the bottom of the screen. Just so you know, the hard hat is not up for grabs, and it's only going to be here for the start of the show, but D-E-S-P-E into the chat for your chance to win a Despe polo shirt. I also came back from my trip to Italy feeling somewhat inspired. So inspired, in fact, that I wrote a mini ebook about the machine, about Despe, and about the first ever outing of the machine that they call the Jumbo. That ebook will go on sale tomorrow, and it will then live forever behind a paid firewall. However, for tonight only, and right up until midnight, you can get a copy of that book entirely free. All you need to do is send me an email with the subject line Jumbo, Jumbo. If you're a member of our WhatsApp group, or if you're one of our patrons over at patreon.com/DemolitionNews, rest assured you'll get a copy of the thing for free. You don't have to do anything at all. But for everybody else, if you want to be in with a chance of winning a Despe t-shirt, please type the word Despe into the chat. If you would like to get a copy of that ebook, you can send me an email, and the email address is now going across the foot of the screen. Just send me an email that says the word Jumbo in the subject line, and we will see what we can do for you. Now, okay, people, enough chatter. It is time. So please sit back, crank up the volume, and get ready as we present to you, as soon as I can find it, we present to you for the first time ever the Jumbo. And I'm just going to throw the thing up on the screen any second now. Bergamo, Italy. Northeast of Milan, this historic city in the Alpine region of Lombardy is characterized by its cobblestone streets and 19th century funicular railway. In the foothills of the Alps, encircled by Venetian walls, it is home to the Duomo di Bergamo, the city cathedral. But here, there is another kind of religion. Atalanta, BC. And this is their church.
We're here in Bergamo in Italy with the mighty Despe, and behind me is the Jumbo.
Despe is, quite simply, one of the most admired and most revered demolition contractors in the world. The company has been a consistent winner of World Demolition Awards pretty much since the awards first began. It has spawned not one, but two European Demolition Association presidents. And it has seen its reputation grow beyond its native Italy, with the company increasingly working overseas. Yet in some ways, Despe is a company of contradictions. Much of its reputation has been built upon innovation and its willingness to forge new paths, develop new methods, and to embrace new techniques. Yet, at its heart, Despe is a family business that has retained its family values. And while it has seen its reputation and its operations spread to other parts of the world, Despe's roots are buried deep in Bergamo soil, which explains the company's association with the Atalanta Football Club. The company could have chosen to follow one of the more glamorous football teams from just up the road in Milan. But instead, the company is inextricably linked with the team the directors grew up supporting. For those directors, weekdays are spent working in demolition and construction, but weekends are spent at the stadium of their beloved Atalanta. So when plans were drawn up to rejuvenate that stadium, it seemed only fitting that the demolition of the stands should fall to the company that has, for decades, stood upon them. Over the years, Atalanta has brought in big and imposing strikers to score goals, to lead the line, and to push the club to ever greater heights. Despe has adopted that philosophy and has brought in a giant strike force of its own. That strike force is known simply as the Jumbo. Weighing in at more than 350 tonnes, the Jumbo is one of the biggest demolition excavators the world has ever seen. The machine wields a 12-tonne attachment that consumes concrete like an Italian eats pasta. According to Despe, the Jumbo was created by three pairs of hands, those of Caterpillar, Laurini and Despe itself. That description is unquestionably accurate. But in truth, the Jumbo is like the finest Italian pizza. Caterpillar provided the expertly crafted base. Despe selected only the finest toppings, and Laurini baked it all to perfection. It is a cliche, but in demolition, as in football, teamwork really does make the dream work. There you have it. That is the Jumbo. Lots and lots of questions in the chat. I'm going to jump onto one straight away. There is our friend Ian Lewandowski, all the way from America. Good evening. Is the machine purpose-built or was it originally a mining machine? It very much was a mining machine, as Al Grierson said right after you. It was a CAT 6015B mining excavator. Came out of the factory over in Indonesia, the Caterpillar factory in Indonesia, weighing 150 tons. By the time Laurini in Italy had finished with it, 351 tons of pure demolition muscle. Let's have a look. I see the machine was manufactured in Indonesia and shipped to Laurini in 7 pieces, weighing in over 105 tons, 115 tons, 150 tons actually off the production line. Just so you know, because of Italian transport regulations, that machine is actually transported to site in roughly 13 lumps. 13 pieces because of the restrictions. Now, I'm going to go back through the chat. I am going to encourage you. I'm going to throw the banner back up again when I can find it. I have a button for this. There you are. Type Despe, DESPE, into the chat for your chance to win one of the 2 t-shirts we're giving away. And also send me an email at markanthony1965@gmail.com for a copy of the free ebook on the Jumbo and all things about that. Now, I'm going to go back to the very beginning of the chat, and some people, Gary Muirhead in particular, was so keen on tonight's show, he actually commented before the show even started. Good evening, Gary. Good evening, Mark. He says, good evening, gang. Yeah, good evening, gang, indeed. Glenn Johnston is here as well. Dan Cullen is here. Mark Whiting is here. Kenneth Hatcher. Here is the start of people entering the competition, and it is still open as we speak. DESPE into the chat. Glenn Johnston has entered. Ken Hatcher, it's luck of the draw, I'm afraid, Ken. I personally would like the large, but it's going to be luck of the draw. If you get the first one out, you get the large. If you get the second one out, you get the medium. That's just the way it's going to roll. Gary Muirhead has entered the competition. Our mate Anthony has entered over from LinkedIn. Good afternoon, or good evening, should I say. Anthony, hope you're feeling well. Hope you're in with luck tonight. Graham Williams, who I spoke to earlier today. Craig Williams is in the house as well. Al Grierson, all the way from Luxembourg. We've got people from Luxembourg and from America as well, which is a fantastic thing to see. Dan Cullen, Nigel Williams. Good evening, Nigel. Host of the From the Seat of the Cab operate podcast over on YouTube and Apple and various other places as well. There's our mate Ian, all the way from America. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. There's Gary Muirhead entering it again, I think. Nigel Williams, Ken Hatcher, lots and lots of entries, and they're still coming in thick and fast. I'll tell you now, we arrived in Bergamo. We were picked up, taken to the Despe headquarters, which is itself an absolute marvel. And then we went to site, and the car came around the corner, and there was the Jumbo. And for about the first 3 minutes, all I could manage to say was, wow. Bearing in mind, Bergamo, it's a city, but it's not a particularly big city. You're talking about a 351-ton mining excavator working away in the middle of a city. Absolutely unbelievable. Ken Hatcher, our resident sprocket spotter, try saying that with somebody else's teeth in. Our sprocket spotter says the sprockets are in the right place to the rear. Wow, what a thing of magnificence. It really is. And I think somebody else actually says exactly the same thing as I thought. It needs to be white. If you get a copy of the ebook, and you're free to get one of those, if you send me an email using the details below, I've actually said if Apple and Audi were to get together for some unexplicable reason to create a demolition excavator, that's what it would look like. It would look like the Jumbo. Hoping to give away a few of those books tonight. There's Al Grierson saying, good evening, Mark. Good evening, gang. And he also says, what a work of art. I know this is, Al obviously is, like myself, a digger spotter. I think we've all been waiting for this one to roll out of the Laurini yard for quite some time now, and just delighted to have been one of the first to have seen it. Ian says, yes, we've answered that one. And yes, there is Al Grierson answering it for me. That's the comment I was looking for. It looks amazing in white. It's got that Real Madrid thing about it. It just looks right in white. If anybody wants to copyright that, please feel free to do so. Let's have a look. Yeah, I don't know how closely everyone was watching. We're going to play another film in just a second. Interesting use of 2 mixer pump trucks for dust suppression. Remotely controlled. There's a guy remotely controlling them to actually put the nozzle part of that dust suppression system on the far side, as the operator's looking out, on the far side of the attachment, so that the operator has a clear line of sight. Fantastic idea, and typically Despe. Pure white, magnificently engineered. What a vid that is. Yeah, I have to say, and you know, this is me doing proud father part. My son produced a film for Armac about 2 years ago, And as far as I was concerned, that was the high watermark for demolition videos. It really was a thing of magnificent beauty. He's beaten it. I think that one is even better still. Gary Muirhead says, I see the machine was manufactured in Indonesia. Yep, we've done that. There's Nick Drew. Good evening, Mr. Drew. I'm glad to see you've entered the competition. How many have we got now? Yeah, we're up to one. You're a 1 in 13 chance of winning the competition now. Mark Whiting is here. Graham Williams, I think we've already had that one. Laurini are an amazing company for demolition conversions. They work with brands like Doosan and Hitachi. You should try and get a factory tour. Funnily enough, I have been speaking to the fine folks over at Laurini for quite some time. Maybe, just maybe, we will get to do that at some point. All things being equal, the plan is I'm going back to Italy, not to see the Jumbo, although if Despe would like to show it to me again, I'd be more than happy to go and do that. But we are going to do something else with Despe in the not too distant future. So I should be dropping a line to Laurini to see if they would allow us to have a look around their yard. Obviously, they are basically the Italian equivalent of Kukuric, doing some fantastic work. Dan Cullen says, beautiful machine. What a lot of work to put it together. I think it's been about, I think from the point of order to the point of delivery was about a year. So yeah, a lot of work has gone into that. I'd like to get the book. Dan, as you're in the WhatsApp group, you'll get it free of charge anyway. Not a problem at all. Mantis over on LinkedIn. Good afternoon. Good evening. You are in the, let's have a look, just make sure. Yep, still coming through. We're at 13 now. Could do with a few more. Ken wouldn't want to be here. These fellas are idlers to the rear almost all the time. Thank you very much indeed for that, Ian. That really is very much appreciated. Gavin Elson, our favourite trainer among our many trainers. Evening, Gavin. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Cat tour would be nice. Yes, a cat tour would be nice. Caterpillar, if you're listening. Some tool, that says Nigel Williams. And you can look, I want to drive it. Well, yes, I wouldn't trust me with that. I could demolish most of Italy with that. Now, just another one. If you do get a factory tour, ask Marco Laurini for a lift in the company helicopter. Marco Laurini, please, that would be fantastic. Now, I've already said we want to get as many entries for the T-shirt as we possibly can. We're at 13, I think. 13? 13, yeah, we're at 13 at the moment, which is quite clearly unlucky for some. So we want to give everyone a chance to win. So with that in mind, my son Fred has very kindly produced a second video. And this time it was shot entirely by drone. This film is approximately 3 minutes long. So you now have just 3 minutes to type the word Despe, D-E-S-P-E, into the chat for your chance to win an exclusive Despe t-shirt, which we'll be drawing just as soon as we get back. So let me fire up the second video as soon as I can find it. It looks like this. Oh. That piece of music was called Time is Running Out, and it has. It's time to do the prize draw. I'm just going to say very good evening to Raymond Kelly, who has just joined us. Also has just entered the competition, so we're at 14 now. My apologies for the interruption. I have two ways of playing video on this show. One allows me to work in the background, the other doesn't. That one didn't. My apologies. That Muncher is some kit. Yep, that is the FR100N from Trevi Benny. 12.5 tons of it. I like the water spray, says Ken Hatcher. So do I. There is Gary Muirhead saying, I was watching the build of the Jumbo on YouTube. They had to use 30 extra track links and pads, 15 each side, when they extended and widened the undercarriage. Yeah, as you probably spotted there, undercarriage widened, lengthened, additional counterweight, which contributes some of the additional 150 tons that they've added to it. Lots and lots of, I think they've got 2, 3, possibly even more boom sections, all of which can be dropped off quick hitch style, almost oil quick style, and drop off the entire boom, pick up another one, and away you go. They've thought of everything. They really have. And I did describe it in there as Caterpillar created the base, pizza style. They created the base. Despe selected the finest toppings, and Laurini baked it all to perfection. And that's exactly what they've done. So it is time. It is time to find out who has won the first of the T-shirts, which is the large size. I'm just going to say good evening to Stephen Guthrie. Stephen, if you would like to type the word Despe, D-E-S-P-E, into the chat, you need to do it very quickly to get it under the wire, just while I'm getting something out of my eye. You can enter the competition there. Even didn't get home in time, I'll watch it later. Not a problem, Steve. No problem at all. This will be live. Well, it will be over on YouTube on both Diggers and Dozers and Demolition News immediately after the show ends. I see they got a digger arm with a massive bucket. Yes, they have. That was actually in the yard while we were there. There is Stephen Guthrie entering the competition, and Steve Williamson has entered the competition as well, which should, I think, take us to 16 entries. So it is time to put it up on the screen and for me to press the button to find out who has won the large T-shirt. Nick Drew, the mighty digger man blogger himself. Nick Drew, you just got yourself a T-shirt, a Despe T-shirt that I hauled all the way back from Italy. And just to give you an idea, it looks like this. Nice, right? And obviously, it's Italian. So the moment you put it on, you're immediately more stylish. So having done one draw, what say we draw again to find out who has won the medium. Anybody that wins this, just breathe in a bit. You'll be absolutely fine. Our friend Anthony, who is, I'm fairly sure he's down Sussex way, possibly, seem to remember. He has won the second. Nick Drew and Anthony, I'm not going to try and pronounce your surname. I really should know it, but I'm not going to try and pronounce it. But Anthony and Nick, both of you, let me have your postal addresses, and those will be going into the post for you first thing tomorrow. Not a problem at all. And thank you very much indeed for taking part. Well done and congratulations, says Dan Cullen. Exactly the same from Gary Muirhead. Al Grierson says exactly the same thing. So congratulations all round. Great, thanks, Mark, says Anthony. Not a problem at all. Nick Drew, see, he's already caught the bug. Bella. Yeah, quite right too. And congrats, Nick, from Nigel Williams. Now, the other part of the evening's festivities, as I say, we have, I'm not going to say we, Fred did all the hard work on the video. I did all the hard work on the ebook. So I'm going to claim responsibility for this. If you can let me have an email or an email, a text, a WhatsApp message, whatever it might be, let me know your email address between now and midnight, and you will get a copy of the Jumbo ebook. After midnight tonight, it goes on sale. The only way you're going to get one after midnight tonight is to actually buy one. So get a free one. That makes a lot more sense. Stephen Guthrie says, well done, winners. Yes, well done indeed. that pretty much wraps things up. But before I go, I would like to say a couple of quick thank yous, if I may. I want to say thank you to Stefano and Roberto Pansieri for inviting us to Italy to see their stunning new machine. I wish them every success with it. Thank you to the team at Despe who made us so welcome for the entire time that we were in Bergamo. Thank you to the owners and directors of Atalanta Football Club for allowing us to film on their hallowed turf. I realise we're out of season right now, but they allowed us to film from the pitch so that we could get the footage that we need. So thank you very much indeed for them. And of course, thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. These evening shows are a treat for me as much as they are a treat for you, to be honest. So I really appreciate you joining in tonight. Just one more thing before I go. Two more things, actually. We actually have not one, but two more evening shows lined up for you. This time next week, we'll be live once again. Only this time, instead of being in the company of Despe, we will be in the company of Cabelco. And then the week after that, exactly 2 weeks from today, we'll be taking a trip down memory lane to chart the humble beginnings of a little manufacturer called Bobcat. I hope to see you for both of those shows. Now, to play us out, I'm going to replay that drone film just because it's great. Here is the Jumbo in all its glory. I'm going to be vanished by the time you get back, or by the time this is over, in which case I will see you on the Breakfast Show tomorrow. I'm going to add this to the screen.